From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine with Nick Barris.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. Nick Barris here on a Thursday. We have a good show on tap for you. Right off the top, I want to let you know we continue to monitor this weather situation. Kind of creeps up on you. We hear it so often, okay, some severe weather here and going, and sometimes it delivers, sometimes it doesn't. But this really looks like potentially a serious situation, one that Leland himself said at a level 5 in some areas, in terms of threat, that he has not seen more than a handful of times in the years he's worked here at News Channel 5. So I want to let you know we're going to continue to monitor the weather situation. Might even be joined by Leland or Nikki D at the end of the program to give us an update and some of the very latest on how things look. But leading up to that, another very important issue here in the state that we've talked about and something that state lawmakers are actually addressing right now, and that's the issue of human trafficking. And you hear about it, young people that get caught up in a cycle of the sex trade and the like, with folks controlling their lives. The TBI has done many stories along this, and going in and prosecuting those responsible and trying to save those caught up in all this. And the laws and the way they're in place, up until now, maybe we're lacking a bit, but Tennessee's taking steps to rectify that, I think, to try to address it on a more serious level. And we have one of the state lawmakers behind two bills we're going to talk about, and maybe more, just to get her perspective on all this out of Memphis, is Representative London Lamar. Can you hear me, ma'am? It's good to have you with us this morning.
Good morning. I can hear you. Hello.
Good. Loud and clear. Well, thank you. As I said, you were telling me you have some severe weather, as you understand, in the Memphis area, and the same thing here in Middle Tennessee. So we'll keep track of that. But, that's an important issue. On the scale of human trafficking, give me a little bit of a primer. The way I understand it, two of these pieces of legislation, one dealing with, those caught up in human trafficking and the ability to protect themselves. I want to touch on that. And then the other bill, which requires better training perhaps for teachers, maybe to help them better recognize the situation when it comes to human trafficking. Give us a little primer on the two of those.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, the issue of human trafficking is a huge issue in Tennessee. It is the second highest rise in crime in the state. And I've been able to work with TBI and other human trafficking organizations to bring more awareness and help push legislation in order to curb this rise in crime. Sure. It is a crime that is based on the manipulation and the coercion of innocent individuals and sexualizing them, which is something that we should not be doing. And so I remember when I was elected back in 2018, the story of Centoya Brown was a very hot topic, and everyone was asking Governor Haslam, who was then the governor, for clemency for this young lady. And I remember coming into the legislature being the youngest elected official in the legislature then, and being the youngest woman. And I was thinking to myself, this young girl is begging for help and has remained her innocence throughout this whole process. And so to me, for someone to have been in jail for 15 years, who still says and keeps to the truth that their life was in danger, and they never had the opportunity to claim self-defense in a courtroom or defend themselves, I felt like that was a problem. And being the only young woman in the state house at the moment, and then as well, I felt like it was my obligation to hear her story and actually do something about it, and especially to be in a position of power to get things done and push a law. And so I came in the legislature under such controversy myself, but I was able to build sustainable relationships with both Democrats and Republicans on this issue, because I really made them understand, for me, this is a people issue. This is a partisan issue. This is an issue about supporting victims. It doesn't matter what political party you are. This is about making sure individuals are not harassed, coerced, or taken advantage of, or even killed without being able to defend themselves. And since then, I'm pause there.
Okay, no, that's all right. I just want to jump in with you because you hit on a lot of points I'd like to touch on, and that's great. You did a nice overview of that, and the hook was Cyntoia Brown. Now, as you know, and she served 13 years. She was convicted, the prosecutors saying that she was a thief going for money and shot and killed that individual. You know, of course, as you said, many people got more into the case and realized, you know, this was a young person, only 16 at the time, that was just trying to defend herself, was in a very untenable situation. Have you met Cyntoia Brown yourself? Have you discussed some of this with her as you put this together?
I have not met her. I have reached out to attorneys in the area to get in contact with her. Mm-hmm. They told me she kind of wants to do her own thing and kind of take them as she wants, and that's a lie. She just got out of prison not too long ago, and I didn't want to be one that's bombarding her. I would hope to one day to meet her, to let her know that her story inspired me, and despite being able to meet you in person, I heard your cries and I wanted to do something about it.
Give me an example then, if you can, using her case as we just described how that played out. If you don't mind, give me a sense of what this law, had it been on the books when she was arrested, would have allowed her to do that now maybe someone in Cyntoia Brown's situation today will have the benefit of thanks to your law. What difference is it between then and now with this new law?
So prior to my bill, if you were in the process of doing an unlawful activity, which you could consider human trafficking to be an unlawful activity, you could not claim self-defense in a courtroom if you cause seriously bodily harm or death to an individual. So, for example, if she was forced to go engage with that person, and in the process she felt like her life was in danger and they were going to harm her or kill her, with my bill, once you go in front of court for the act of seriously bodily harm or death, you can now claim self-defense through testimony. If you're able to show evidence and extensive evidence that you're a victim of human trafficking, then you can claim self-defense in the case of the seriously bodily harm or the death that was caused. Okay, yeah, and this, as you said, I know this is not a get out of jail free card. I mean, there may be individuals out there that really do commit murder for the reason of stealing someone's money, and it's not as though, okay, this is going to open the door as an option for others. That was not the case in Cyntoia's case, obviously, but talk about that. I mean, you really have to make that case of human trafficking being involved. Absolutely. So if you're causing seriously bodily harm or death, you have to prove that if it was self-defense or not. And in this particular bill, you have to prove in the courtroom through extensive testimony. So that means the judge or the jury will hear your evidence and your testimony and make a determination if they're going to give you that self-defense clause based on that testimony. So no, it's not if you are in that process and you could be manipulating the system or lying about your victim status. No, this bill will not work for you. Or for those who are actual true victims of human trafficking, who may have an individual forcing them to go sleep with somebody, or it could be something as simple as this, because 40% of human trafficking victims are impacted by family. It could be that the girl who mom makes her sleep with the landlord every month for support on the rent. It could be the girl who mom makes her sleep with her boyfriend so that he can continue taking care of her. That's trafficking, and what if he's hurting her? What if he's beating her in that process? Because she already has no protection from her family. And if he's beating her and causing seriously bodily harm, prior to my law, she wouldn't have been able to defend herself.
Gotcha. Well said. Listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to get more into just the size and scope of this, that it got your attention and the attention of so many lawmakers at this point. Obviously, we knew about it, but that this was needed. And then also some of the other legislation as well with regard to recognizing it. And teachers sometimes can be in a position to be the very first to determine maybe whether or not there's a situation along those lines. So we'll take a break. When we come back, we can take some phone calls as well if you'd like to join us. The number on the screen, Representative Lamar, and our conversation continues right after this. Stay with us.